All right.
All right.
And bring the box out, open.
Bring the box out.
Bring the drawer out. I'm not sure if
All right, co-pilot, I am ready to start.
Watch the drawer. Oh, oh, watch the drawer. Watch the drawer.
I'm going to close it a little bit.
Nah, you're, well,
Well,
no,
it's gonna, I don't know if we're drifting back into it right there.
yeah, I'll just pull back. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
This time we're not going to zoom in and spin it around. We'll just get it in the box. How's
Good
that?
plan. I like that plan.
Because what happens is the jaw slowly starts to tighten over time.
I see.
Okay. Ready?
Nice outcrop, though. I like the video.
Yep. Me too.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. We're out.
Yeah, this is a nice view. You can, I don't know if the folks at home can see this. We can see the bins on the right or starboard side, so you can see the outer and inner bin, and then that forward rock box. And then on the left or port side, the bins are closed. So there's a little lid flap that slides over and closes it underneath.
And
the
keeps
ones.
your
This
precious
is our
sponge.
the science community's
it's actually stuck
precious
in the jaw.
carnivorous sponge.
Look at
Yes.
that. There we
Yeah.
go.
There we go.
Nice.
It's
Okay.
That's how
yeah.
soft it was. yeah.
It's
Okay.
a clay stone, I'm guessing. Thank you. That was a
Starboard.
great job.
Starboard inner.
Starboard inner.
Inner bio box.
And probably
Stucco 3.
sedimentary rock.
I have that written down already.
I'm not
Yeah.
surprised. Yeah, sticky. So I think it's very fine sediment, like what we're looking at around it on the seafloor.
Gosh.
That's
Well,
interesting.
that was fun.
I'm glad you enjoyed that.
We're at
All right.
4,801
upward.
meters.
Upward.
Hydraulic secure.
Hydraulics ramp down.
Cool, thanks.
Okay, co-pilot, bearing is cleaned and greased. Everyone is clear of the winch.
Copy that.
So we have about a little over 40 minutes left in our dive. We're at
Yeah.
4,800 meters right now.
Right, and we're going to look for something unique. And
Something else
wonderful.
unique. We've seen lots of very, very
Oh,
cool
the
things.
animals have been fabulous
I
on this
know.
dive.
I
How
know.
much time do we have left on bottom?
40 minutes.
40 minutes.
Rock on the left. Rock out.
Rock alert, rock alert.
Ooh, another
Rocks.
pile of rocks
Oh.
and little white things on them.
Tina wants an anemone.
Oh, a little tiny one.
Oh, wait, that's not an anemone.
No.
That's not an anemone.
What is this?
It sure is.
That's not an anemone. Oh, and it looks like there might be a crinoid over on the left as well.
Yeah.
What do you want to look at first here?
Oh, the closest one. One right in the center of the screen.
All right.
Just to the right of your lasers.
Okay.
A star. Is
Yeah.
that a star?
A star is born.
No, give it to Andy. Sorry.
And thanks, shore-based science team, for continuing to enter in the codes of the organisms that we're seeing. I don't think we've entered too many geologic codes in at all, but Patty will take care of that in her dive summary this
sure
afternoon.
will.
She's very conscientious about going back and checking. She is about
Oh,
checking
well,
the
thank you, Judy.
video and making sure. In fact, she wrote her dive summary last night, and then when she had a chance to look at one of the
So
rock
you are in
samples, she said,
auto
"Oh
heading
wait,
and auto XY.
Don't-
Okay.
Oh, that
Don't-
was an
So you
exciting
wanna take
rock.
it's
those out?
exciting." Yeah,
Both of
because
them
we
were
try
exciting.
and get our summaries done right after the
Right after
dives.
the dives, right?
And we had a little bit of time yesterday while we were waiting for the ship to come back up to the, or for the, the ship.
The ROV,
Right,
that's okay.
the ROV to come
We
back
knew
up
what
to
you
the
meant.
surface.
Okay.
We
we
knew
gotta go
what
look
you
at
were
these
saying.
guys.
But then
No,
once
it's just
Patty saw the
position,
rock,
that's
she's
why.
like, oh, wait, let me revise that.
Yeah, we found a microscope, got it out on the counter, and I've been
Yeah, they want to look
looking
at
at
them.
the
Okay,
rocks.
copy that.
But it has nothing to do with elevation, right?
Right. ECN.
Do we have any current whatsoever
What
down here?
is ECN? I'm looking this up. Oh, Okeanos.
Mhm.
If you set down there, we can tilt up to it. from
Copy that.
angle.
And Dan, were you seeing any current?
No, there's no current. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, Debbie
there's
must be
nothing.
calling in from home, huh? Thank you for entering in the
This
codes.
sediment will test the
Or not calling in,
soft
but
side
in
of
the
your
chat
ability
room.
to sit.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's very late out there.
What are you trying to
Right.
I was just trying to set down without sliding at all.
Deb is typing in from Florida, where it is. What time is it in Florida? Oh, my goodness. It is
I'd
really
recommend
late.
just-
It's after
with a
11
fine
o'clock,
touch,
I
just
think.
holding
sit
it
down.
manually, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let me look at my little clock.
Okay, going down.
Let me look at my
I can take
world
your camera
clock.
if you want.
Yep, 11:18
Wow.
p.m.
I'll do
It's
it.
up to you. Go.
I'll do it. I'll just sit down right there like that.
Yep.
And you can see nice layering in
See how
this
you're
rock
sliding.
that we're looking at,
Yeah.
dipping down to the right. Which is not surprising because the top of the rock
Okay, go
is
ahead and zoom
dipping
in.
down to the right.
So you gotta, put a little
Okay.
forward way on.
Ooh,
Copy that.
fat star in the middle.
Yep.
How about right like that?
Okay,
And
and I
does it
think Chris said
have-
before that that was gonadal tissue. I
All that
believe that's
around
what
the
he said.
center.
I think that's what he said
So
earlier.
it's a healthy guy. And look at all the stuff on this rock that it could be eating.
There's beautiful tube feet too.
It does. This is beautiful imagery.
Okay, great.
I keep wondering what all of that little pale tan
So,
stuff is that must be only a
distance
couple
to
of
the waypoint?
millimeters long,
Just curious.
adhering to the surface of the rocks.
200 meters.
Those videos.
ROV,
clear.
Little
148
one-celled
meters.
animals of
Okay.
some sort.
Okay, wait, I'm sorry.
Something in the upper right there.
Yeah, 35 minutes left.
See a little tree
Hey,
shot.
watch lead.
Yeah.
Is that dive in target a hard target, or are we just gonna continue looking at things?
No, not a hard
We,
target.
Okay.
tilt
Not at
straight
all.
up and
We'll
look
take
at
our
the-
time then.
Tilt straight up. Oh, yeah. Copilot, if you want to go ahead and take it right now.
There's something on the right-hand
What do you
side.
wanna look at?
Just a little bit
I
above the
think you
star.
want to tilt up. on
Right
that
or left?
On the right-hand side, so that
Oh.
side.
Oh,
And there's
look at
also...
the
Shirley, what were you asking us to weigh
Oh,
in on?
this is another carnivorous.
Yeah, another carnivorous sponge. Mike actually had asked, Mike Ford had asked if there was a sense of season in the deep sea. So by observing the fauna, can we detect shifts in surface production or
Not sure
rather
what
the
they want to see.
variation in deposition of material?
There.
Yeah, that is a great question, and there have been a lot of studies done on that very issue, and there have been some taxa that have been found to show seasonality, which is fascinating, of course, because the deep sea doesn't directly experience seasons. However, in certain places of the world, you can think of temperate zones. In the spring, there would be lots of production of phytoplankton in the surface water, and then that would take some time to sink down,
Copy that.
and that's when things would
Whenever you're
start
done video.
eating, which may allow them then to produce their eggs and so on with the excess energy. So there's a delayed seasonality there. It's not universal. There are lots of species that seem to have year-round reproduction, but there are others
Okay.
that do seem to show some seasonality. Studies have been done in
my
ophiuroids,
lasers,
brittle stars,
basically.
corals, and on and
same
on. And
levels
it's
as the lasers.
a continuing question of a lot of interest.
Who were you talking to, pilot?
I'm talking to watch lead.
Okay.
Go ahead and zoom in. And if you want to tilt down just slightly. That guy? That's good,
This little thing looks like another
Yep,
carnivorous
sure is a
sponge?
little tiny one. Tiny one, probably a tiny one of the
Ah, it
one
has
of the
caught-
larger one that we.
caught
Yeah,
two
well, you know what?
amphipods?
We were talking about this on our chat room, whether or not all of these amphipods that are attached to the
Whether they're
to the
prey
branches
or
of their
predator.
or well, prey or
Yeah,
just
they wouldn't
hangers
eat a
on
sponge,
because
And there are two of them.
yeah.
The Mr. and Mrs. thing
Yep.
again.
Yep. Yep.
And I was told in Lake 1 that the larger of two amphipods on most of the stalks is the female.
Video's clear with this.
Yes.
Watch these. Are we?
We are done here. Thank
Okay,
you.
Come on out.
Crinoid on the left.
Ready to go find something else, or you want to look at anything else?
So
here?
probably not every
Rhinoid on the left-hand side.
Left.
amphipod that we're seeing on these sponges get trapped, but Scott France said if everyone did, you'd think there'd be some selection against that behavior.
One would think.
You start off in the base since it's centered for you.
Okay, go ahead, zoom in. Right there.
Tilt up.
Yes, please. I forget you have the camera.
Oh, look at the bands on this. My goodness.
It's the hold fast or whatever you call it on this thing.
A Siri. Wow, this is an unusual
Being
looking one.
dusted.
I think I kicked some up when I was spinning around.
Okay, you can go ahead and tilt up. I'll follow focus.
Tilting up.
Ooh, pretty.
Now, are those hydroids or are those baby crinoids?
We have a
Continue up.
question. Hydroids or baby crinoids? What are those things?
Got me.
We've got Shirley. Okay.
Continue up.
I think we're looking at the stalk of a crinoid.
Yep.
Yeah, we are.
It's
Yeah.
Babycrinus.
What are those things that are on it?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well,
Maybe I
Tina says
misunderstood what you
hydroids.
No,
asked.
no. What are the things that are on it?
I'm bouncing there. Okay.
I think those may be little hydrozoans.
Yeah, that's what we were. That's what we were thinking as well, Scott.
Tina
You can come back in
did
video if you
type
want,
that
if you
in.
want to see it.
Tina says this is common that you have
Oh,
these
there's.
on
Oh,
there.
yeah,
Tilt upside.
just catching up
Thanks.
with that. Yep. Yep. There we go. Oh, pretty, pretty.
Very nice. Oh, look at the tiny tentacles coming out the tops of those. There are millions and millions of them, as Carl Sagan would say. Alien beings that they are on our very own planet.
Oh, that's pretty with a blue background. Gonna like that one, huh, Roland?
Oh, yeah.
This image of the day.
That is a great image.
I know, like with the
Brought to you
halos of
by
light
Master
going
Pilot
out.
That and the
Lister.
swimming
That's right.
In
holothurian
training.
are my favorites.
So if there's any high school biology students or college biology students watching, they should relate
Co-pilot by
this
a
to
very
the
young Dan Rogers.
sort of common lab rat, the hydra, that you find in freshwater. That's, I think, essentially what we're looking at here.
Yep, very good
Not a
point.
hydra, but it's
Yep.
to it.
Yep, very cool.
All right. Are we? We might get a little dust storm here shortly.
Now, I've been painting that out as I've been going.
Okay.
If you want, I can turn my filters back off.
No, please. That's great. Okay. Watch leads. Are we?
Good to go.
Okay. I take.
Just
camera
feeding,
go back.
just feeding the locals.
How kind of you, providing luncheon.
It's just what I do. Okay, let's get out of
Cool,
this.
pilot. When do you want to start thinking about move?
I think they will probably want to go look at that crinoid over there, and then
Which one?
So back in
Oh, are we that
Straight ahead.
predictable?
A little bit to the right.
back in the U.S. of A. It is now
Where
July
is this guy?
1st.
Like this one right here.
out of the
3
cloud of
days
dust.
Yeah,
to
let's
the
Well, on
get
the
that
east,
there.
July.
on the East Coast anyway.
Yeah, on the-
Oh, no,
well,
it's not
no.
yet.
It's
No,
just
it's
gonna
not.
be good
Even
spray
in
today.
Hawaii, it's
Be
the
fine.
July
It's got
1st. It's
the
June 30th out.
4,800
Yeah,
meters.
on
No,
the
no,
East
no, no.
Coast,
Clear water.
They're a
it
day
is
behind us.
currently
Sure.
June 29th.
No.
They'll probably
What a
bump
day
that.
behind us.
try to
Your
set down
computer,
nice
though,
and
is still a
gentle.
day
Mine-
ahead. I don't know what's
my
the matter with your
computer
computer,
is
but
telling
See you
me
too.
it's
what day
tomorrow.
it is.
Sediment
Okay,
picking
so
up
we
there.
have
But
it.
we're
Yeah, I see it.
tomorrow to the people
Plenty of
back on
time.
shore.
Okay.
Yeah, camera's up at 10 degrees right now.
Copy that.
No, we're yesterday.
And you got a
To
1
the
foot.
You guys must be
Now
even
we're
farther
tomorrow.
away than we think you are.
We're tomorrow to the
There we
people
go.
on shore.
It's a little better.
We are tomorrow, right?
A little more tilt down.
A nice star.
I'm gonna
With
go ahead and
its
set down
arms
first.
up. With its Velcro out.
Might not be a crinoid,
I need to reset my computer.
No crinoid.
the Bersengid sea star.
Is this a
I
bazinga?
concur.
I think it is.
Okay, get set down. A little bit gentler this time. Okay, come on, zoom in.
Sliding back. Is that a coral next to the laser beam on the left?
You know, I was wondering that.
We'll zoom into this.
Where is it you wanted to look at? The slightly left, you said?
Yeah.
There is something on the side of the rock to the left as well.
Yeah, I'm looking at that rather intriguingly.
Poor little Brasingit got upstaged by a little thingy. Best I can describe that one. Okay, let's go full image of the Brasingit.
Okay.
Really, Scott? You think it's bryozoan?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a bryozoan or hydrozoan. I was just asking Tina
Tina.
Molisova
Yeah,
if she's referring to a hydrozoan, that same thing that we're looking at now.
Okay. Video's clear.
Okay.
So she also
Yeah, you
believes
wanna
that's
get
a
another ship moving,
bryozoan
Nev?
down below. We've seen a few,
40
or
meters,
we
3,
think
4,
we've
5.
identified a few bryozoans. We haven't really talked about them very much.
Go ahead and push out,
Bryozoans
Andy.
are
Bridge,
fairly
ROV now.
advanced
I was gonna adjust
invertebrates.
these by-
We're
They
ready for
are
another ship move, same as last.
colonial. You see
40
this,
meters,
that one there has
bearing
this
345
white
degrees,
branching
decimal 2
structure. So
knots.
they form these colonies, and they have a ring of tentacles that's described as kind of a horseshoe shape. And the tentacles are
Did that earlier.
stimulated, so they
Z-bias,
generate a current to bring water down
it's not-
towards their mouth. They capture them, and then they ingest them.
Scroll.
You gotta hold it until it illuminates.
You gotta hold it down?
Yep.
Okay, copy that.
Bing. Up east.
Move initiated. Good copy. Thank you, Bridge.
Where are we headed over here?
345.
3, 4, 5.
Winch is clear, correct?
Yes. As of the last transmission.
Deck A, co-pilot. Okay.
If you guys see anything,
Yeah, we'll let you know.
Can mow the lawn a little bit.
See a white
Okay.
floaty thing coming at you.
Yeah.
White floaty
Yeah,
left.
white floaty thing on the left.
Coming back.
Looks
This
like
guy?
a shrimp.
Mm-hmm.
Mysid shrimp, possibly.
Something pelagic, Mike.
Let me tilt up here.
Oh, it's working really hard.
Hey, he's trying.
Swim. Oh, pushing through the water.
There's a delayed communication on my.
All right, you're pulling on my tether now.
Copy that. Come back a little bit.
Well, you gotta come
Yeah, I'm
starboard.
Headed starboard.
Full wide.
Yeah, keep an eye on your manipulator cameras.
Scraping
So
bottom.
shore-based scientists, we have about another, I'd say about another 25
camera's up
minutes
at 10
left on
degrees.
this dive. I know it's super late back there.
Lots
We
of dust
are
on
going to do our
HD2.
dive planning call probably about 5 minutes after we come off of the bottom. Just give us enough time to get ourselves
There's an
situated
acorn
here.
worm at the
And
bottom, just off
we'll
the
do our
bottom
dive
screen.
planning call for tomorrow actually be for tomorrow and the next day because we're going to be at a place called
Explorer Ridge.
And because it's a fairly long dive track, we decided we'll cut it in segments, and so we'll do the deeper part tomorrow and then continue,
Yeah,
depending on
22
what we
minutes
see, depending on
pilots.
moving, depending on what we see, we'll move up the ridge on the day after tomorrow. So if you just, I sent you
Look
the
at the layer
dive
in
plan
there on the right.
Where's that? Right over
yesterday,
here?
last night.
Yeah,
So
where it goes from
pull that up, but Derek
dark
will have the
to
multi-beam
white on the
map
sediment.
on screen for you so you can
Sure.
take a look at it, and we'll discuss that dive probably in about 30 minutes. So we'll be up off the bottom at about
So right now your camera is at 0
25 minutes,
degrees.
and about
Yeah.
30 minutes we'll
Personal
have the
preference,
dive
but
planning
I prefer to
call.
fly at minus 15,
Okay.
just because then you can still see ahead of you, but you know you're looking at things down
So
in
we're
your light
looking
pool.
at a lot of very thin layered, finely layered material.
Yeah, right about
And
there.
we're going to take a zoom and see if I can figure out what is
You're
going
pulling
on.
me.
It looks
You're
like
gonna have to come more starboard.
Come more starboard.
if these
Oh, watch
are
that rock over
sedimentary
there.
layers, they are dipping off
See
pretty
a few
much to
loose loops
to
in the
the
daisy
east.
chain.
Uh-oh.
That's what it looks like. Our heading
Okay,
right
do we
now
wanna
is
do
Yeah,
about
I see that.
20
I'll
degrees.
go ahead and set down.
Yep, that was the area.
Okay.
And what we keep seeing at the base of these little outcrops is that although the top of the rock
I
outcrops
think the BSR
is encrusted
tracks
with
a bit
dark,
farther
Under all that pressure,
Uh,
yeah.
probably manganese
probably it,
oxide
yeah.
coating. At the bottom, there's a
Got it on that
pale
rock right
brown
there on that.
exposure on most of these outcrops.
Maybe I can get
And
right
when the pilot
beside
picked
it.
up a sample of rock in an area like this, it was very, very soft and kind of sticky, stuck to the fingers of the manipulator arm as he tried to get it into our sampling chamber.
there you
We
go.
put it in a bio
not pulling
box
you now?
just in case it tends to
Better.
break
See it?
up as the
So did
ROV
you
is
see on
recovered.
Cirrus Cam, your verts just kicked up a bunch of dust on the side. So that's why you want to, when you're
So
near the bottom,
pilot and
give
the
real
co-pilot
gentle
are
touches on
trying
the
to minimize
thrusters
the
because
amount of
gonna be
sediment
really
that's
easy to
kicked
kick
up
stuff-
here. This
kick this
sediment's
stuff up.
incredibly fine. A couple times when the pilot sat down, the whole remotely operated vehicle just slid.
and there's not
on
really any
this
current, so it just
very
kind of sits there. But when there is a
clayey,
current,
sticky,
and it's like,
I'm feeling
fine
I think there's
sediment
current right
surface.
now,
You think so?
a little bit. Okay, come on, a little slower this time.
So the
ahead.
particulates you see in the water column are
best news
from
we got.
the ROV.
you can go over there for sure.
Okay, I can go over there
So
now.
as we,
I thought I might have been pulling.
Oh, I just needed you to come starboard,
Oh, okay.
As we look at the rocks in front of us on the zoom
I
now,
can go right there.
these are
and you're also see
essentially
how you're at 75%
covered
downward
up
thrust right now.
entirely by manganese oxide.
Yeah, you don't.
So you can't actually
I
see
mean, just a little
layering
bit down, a little bit
in
forward.
the outcrop. But at the very bottom, like I said
what
earlier,
is that?
you can see very pale colored material,
That'll then a
irregular
little bit of
surface.
thrust forward
Looks like
that'll
sediment to me.
dig in
But I'll
because
take a look at
the harder your
rocks when we
thrusters
get
are
them
working,
back and see if
you
we
know,
can
the harder
figure
thrust
out
you're gonna have to,
what it's made of.
Okay.
you know,
The
have to
material
pick
that
up
has
stuff.
been
You're gonna
drilled
kick up the
through
sediment.
on
I'll go ahead
a
and go
couple
over
of
there then. All right,
drilling
come on out.
cruises out here, in terms of sediment on the seafloor, there are places where the sediment is hundreds of meters thick of what we call marl, which is a carbonate-bearing siltstone, very fine grained. That means
The
real
white thing, I
small
believe to be a
particles
snail
of
shell.
sediment.
On the rock.
Okay.
We chose this dive because we're at the top of what looks like an undersea mountain. The edges of this hill that we're on are very distinct against flat, absolutely flat-floored ponds around it. And that is the characteristic morphology of the mud volcanoes that I've been studying for several years, decades.
Ship is in
And
position.
so
Okay.
this looked like one of them from the bathymetry
Go ahead,
data.
Zoom.
But now
How
that
much
we're up
time
at
do we
the
have
top
left?
of
Like
this,
15
it
minutes?
looks
Yeah,
like it
17.
is
17.
a
Yeah.
block of
Come off at 52.
the forearc that
Does
has
that
been
include setup
uplifted
time?
by faulting.
What is that?
And we have a white
no.
blob.
So, yeah, you
What
could
is
probably come off at
that?
50.
What is that? What
Could
is
you
that?
calculate
What is
30 or
that?
32?
What is
On
that?
the
Oh, it's a snail.
30.5.
Oh my gosh!
that's
Look
about-
at that.
About right.
Yeah.
This is a
Um,
gastropod. And
Okay.
it has its
Well, let's
foot
give ourselves
out,
like
well
2 or 3
behind
minutes to
it,
set up.
Okay.
You know, that's good practice.
beneath the
Sounds
pointy
good.
end of the shell. And you
went
can
to
see,
Zoom on the rock there as well.
what are they called? Antennae? I would call them
Let them
antennae because
describe
I
this
don't know
first,
anything
they're
about the
talking about.
morphology
Yeah, I just mean
and
after this,
anatomy of
I
snails
think we
other
should.
than what they
but,
look
we
like.
sort of gave a description of it while we were
And slugs
zoomed
look
in.
like
Yeah.
they have antennae.
Might be
Look at those
sufficient if
I
we
have
things.
them
want
in
Oh
to
my
my gosh.
yard.
I put little pellets around to get rid of them.
I'm afraid
we're
dogs in
clear
the
on
yard or
this.
cats
Yeah,
will
let's put
eat
another
them,
move in.
which is
Do
not
one more
good for
move.
them.
What do you think?
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, let's do it. He's already stretched out. And
Yeah, I'm pretty far out there. 35 degrees.
That little sort of brown plate
3,
that
4,
you
5
can see at the back side there,
just
or
get it
maybe you've
the
already gone, but that's called the operculum.
Bridge,
So
already
when the head and foot of the snail
it
was
read
gone
on
in
this
the
rock.
shell,
Ready for another
that's
ship
there's a little
move.
door to
40
protect it
meters, bearing
inside.
345 degrees, decimal
Right,
2
that
knots.
Operculum is a little trap door that it uses to
Protect itself.
Well, when it pulls
Yeah.
its,
Good
it
copy,
retracts
Bridge.
its
Yeah.
foot in, it closes that little trap door. We saw some really nice ones on the gastropods that we collected from the that vent.
then maybe let watch lead know we have 15 minutes left.
Okay.
In fact, when I was taking a sample of the gastropod from
Move initiated.
the
Good copy. Thank you, Bridge.
Alvina concha from the vent, and I took a little piece of the foot tissue for
get out of
molecular
this.
analyses. I had to hold that operculum.
Oh, and it was really strong
Yeah.
muscles in that snail?
Yep.
Watch
I
these. This is your navigator. Just letting you know we got about 13 minutes left on the bottom.
Thank you, Nav.
Yep.
Okay, we've just been informed by Nav that we have about 13 minutes
We're
left.
2 meters off the bottom
and
now. We don't need
folks
to be
on
quite that
shore,
high.
Okay.
we are
Down a
pretty
bit.
much
Just keep an eye on
at
your
the
manipulator
summit
cameras. Like
of
I'm
the
constantly
southern
looking
of
at those
two
things
peaks
to
on
get
Twin Peaks Seamount
you know,
up here. So
an
what
idea of
you
the
are
distance
seeing
between
exposed,
the bottom and your toes.
I will let you know what it
Right,
is
right,
when we
right.
get
And
the
your-
rocks back,
and
but
your
I'm pretty
altitude.
sure it's sedimentary.
It's hard to. I'm gonna move
There's a
the
little
Z-bias
white
out
blob
slightly.
on the
You said you
seafloor
have
in
to
the
hold it
lower
down.
left.
What's that? Don't.
Z-bias.
No, you can just at this point it's enabled, so you can
That
just
looks like it
adjust
has
it.
legs.
It's left or
Yeah, it might be a
counterclockwise
crab,
to
I'm
come
not
up
sure.
and
Squat
clockwise
lobster?
to
I'm
come
not
down.
sure.
I'm not either.
Is it
And
up
if you're
here?
not sure,
It's the
Yeah.
bottom
Oh yeah,
left.
there's,
Yeah.
it's okay. It's okay.
problem
not
is
changing.
that
It's
these
these
It
things
is.
go in
It's
and
just
Yeah.
out.
you'll
The arms of our
you'll
chairs
notice that your
swivel in and out. I guess
your
to
thruster
I'm snagging
percentages
you.
will change, and then you have a 0 to
You
100
are. You're
Z-bias
taking after your
adjustable.
favorite critters.
Okay.
I
Just to
figured,
the right of
therefore,
the hydraulic
accommodating the
reservoir
more
level.
Yeah, that's
amply
where I'm looking, but
endowed
it's not.
folks that work in
beyond
these
the
chairs on
thrusters.
occasion.
Oh, I see. Can I move in?
No,
oh,
no,
It's
no,
adjust the
no,
knob.
it's
You got to really twist it. You got
much
to really
earlier
crank it.
me.
Yeah,
Oh,
see.
there we go.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Gotcha. Okay.
Of course, we
Oh,
get so
yeah.
excited
So-
about the dives, we
Got
forget to go to
If
lunch.
you have to adjust your Z-bias, probably means they're a little heavier because there's some sediment packed underneath.
Okay, so we're
that
seeing
happens.
some more rocks up here.
Yeah,
Heading.
then-
So right now
Can
we're
you
up at
turn
the,
left,
we're up at the
backing
top.
up
Here.
Right.
Are we at the
white
summit?
object they were talking
All
about.
through
Looks
this
like it
dive,
had
we've been
legs.
seeing
Right,
right.
sequences of rocks that
There we
are
go.
definitely dipping to the east.
Right. Can we look down at that?
Absolutely.
Thank you. We're good.
Go ahead and zoom in.
What
Buried.
is that?
Oh,
crab.
Partially buried.
no wait. No wait,
I know.
Patty.
It is something partially buried.
What? So your
No.
right toe's already
think
down.
not?
Hey, I
Do
don't
you think-
know. We could poke it and see.
So you're coming down
Okay,
60% on your verts.
So
and
you
that's
don't think
gonna,
it's anything
That's going to tend to tilt you, right? Because your vert's going to
anything
pull
on
you
the
down even though
sediment?
you're already perched.
Okay.
Boy,
So you don't
I
want to come
know.
down so hard.
That is
Or you want to get both
I
toes
don't
in, right?
To me, it looks like
I wouldn't say poke
At
it. What I would
first, I thought
say,
that was going to be a buried
I'm getting too much.
squat lobster.
asteroid, a
Yeah.
sea star, or an
Oh.
ophiuroid, or even a crab. But now it looks kind of like turned over sediment.
yeah,
Yeah.
it does to me too, Scott.
If I had my druthers, I'd take the manipulator out and make a gouge in the seafloor.
So that's
See
the
if we have
geological
white underneath it.
That's a geological analogy.
That's-
To just poke it.
Yes, exactly. That's the
Maybe
geological
slightly
approach to
up
poke it.
diagonal from the lasers.
Shirley, I was going to say the same
We're
thing.
on the move.
Copy that.
We're on the move. They said they're on the move. Okay,
Yeah, quick one
let's
then.
move. Leapfrogging ahead.
Folks, just take a quick second to look at the ROV using the Sirius image. It's really incredible how clear it is
Let's see
down
the
here.
deep
So
discovery.
yeah, you got a 10 to
Yeah, that
starboard
kind of
as
makes
well.
a circle back to one of the first discussions we
Right.
had about
And how far
visibility.
can you see?
Visibility.
Those look like some rather solid
Oh,
rocks.
there's a white thing on a
There's
rock
one right
that
there.
I
Look at that
think
guy.
is more
Spot rocks.
Kinda
easily
on the move, so
diagnosed.
I missed this one. Gotta get
Yeah, I
ahead.
mean, you got time.
Oh, okay. We're
It's
good.
fine. I mean, you'll be able to push out easily. You got another return up ahead on sonar, though.
It's the crab with
Can
the thing
zoom
on
on
its
that
back.
thing, I think.
It's right there if you want to do a quick zoom.
Yeah, we can do a snap zoom on that. Yep, another one of the crabs and anemones.
Cohabitating. These things fascinate me. I'd never seen anything like this before.
Well, especially when you know the whole story
I
about what
know.
happened, you know, how
Yeah,
the
how
anemone secretes that
stays,
kind. Yeah.
stays with this animal its entire life, and
Okay, steady. Alright, come on. I'll just move ahead.
There's
Yep.
some other returns.
moving on.
I'm sure.
To my port there.
Yeah.
I see him over there.
White object, right of lasers on the seafloor, near the edge of the screen.
Over here.
Yeah, why don't you push out and
Out over the
Some rocks
muddy
up ahead.
plains.
Over here.
We are in soft, very fine sediment on this dive.
So is it
With-
clay? Is
Yes,
it more
well,
clay
to a
clayey?
geologist means grain size, very, very tiny grain
Okay.
size, but also can mean the clay mineral group, which is a group of platy minerals. The morphology of the crystal structure is just like mica, so sheets. And as a consequence, this kind of stuff can hold a lot of water within its molecular structure, its crystal structure.
Wait,
So
look at these, how they're kind of like rounded.
Yep, they are.
Anything we want to set down for here? Or just keep
Something
on
white
mowing?
off the left rock.
Oh, keep on
Possible
going is fine.
barnacle.
I can keep mowing. I mean, unless we want to set down for something here.
And again, we don't see very much in the way of calcareous
Just that guy.
detritus on the surface because we are too deep here. Tritus on the surface because we are too deep here. The deeper you go in the cold waters, the faster carbonate dissolves in the water.
You guys
And so
have
if you
anything?
get below about 4,000
in sonar.
meters, you are below what's called the carbonate compensation depth, where carbonate starts to dissolve very rapidly. So we can't see the shells of planktonic one-celled organisms, foraminifera, that would fall down and that we've seen on other dives that are shallower on some of these seamounts in the Mariana Forearc.
Good shot
Wow,
on
this
Sirius.
one you
Can
can't
we
see
push
any
in?
rocks,
Go
you
ahead.
know, big rocks in the field of view at
You
all.
want to come back a
That is
bit,
true.
Andy?
Yep, sure.
Try to center up.
Actually, the
Just watch your
sedimentation
tail end
rate
on the rock there.
in the Mariana Forearc is quite low. So that being said, that indicates that this surface has been sitting here exposed for a long time to accumulate this much very flat
Is that the shot you
looking
guys wanted?
seafloor
Yeah, that's great.
over what
I was just
are
looking at it as you
occasional
were passing through
outcrops
it.
Oh, okay.
of
These
probably sedimentary
sedimentary
rocks,
rocks,
that
yeah.
are either either it's the bedding that I'm seeing dipping toward the east, or a whole series of very tiny fractures, and I'm going with bedding.
You're betting on betting.
I am betting on bedding.
Yeah, it looks like that
I have to fill in for Chris Kelly.
daisy
when
chain,
he's not
that
around.
first loop got pulled down a bit too. Again, yeah.
There's
Yep.
more of those spirals down here.
Yeah.
There are spiral
Lots
trails
of
left by
spirals.
these wonderful acorn worms that we saw earlier in
Okay.
the dive.
Let's come
And
full
folks
wide.
who missed them might be tuning in
Full
late.
Yeah, I'll go forward a bit.
They are absolutely gorgeous animals. A lovely mauve.
Well, I'd say they're interesting animals. I'm
I
not
think
sure
they're
I'd call them
I think
gorgeous.
they're
I think they're kind of
beautiful.
weird looking.
They are definitely weird.
They're definitely
but
weird looking.
also
I mean, they're
beautiful.
pretty color, but they're fairly weird looking, I think.
So Andy, did you happen to see? Oh, let's get that white thing there.
Or
It's
this guy,
left of
right here?
lasers.
Okay.
It's a shrimp. If it's similar to one we saw earlier today, it's a brand new thing we saw. It had
Patty, earlier, I
crab
think you were asking
arms
about
had
why,
sensors on the
or
front.
maybe it was Shirley, why would the
So you just set up
Anthropnos,
super
the
close
acorn
to it.
worm, leave that spiral trace
Let's
of
take a zoom to see if it
fecal
is.
string?
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
And one hypothesis I had was perhaps
No, so
there
this
is a
different.
deposition of
This is
organic
more
matter,
the
food,
typical
in that area,
pink
and so
swimmer
the
that we
worm
see.
is sort of traveling in a circle to make sure it gets it all. So I was just wondering, looking there, we saw a really big one, and I wonder if the size of the spiral is an indication of how much organics were in that particular area, or if a small spiral means that the worm was disturbed maybe by a predator and lifted off and went to a new area.
Oh, good thoughts. Thanks so much,
You
Dot.
said we already had some of this. We didn't need it. Or
We haven't, but there doesn't seem to be interest in it.
okay. All right. Come on out.
Brad's got 5 minutes.
Until setup or till off bottom?
Off bottom.
Okay.
You want to switch back here for setup?
Yeah, we'll
And we just saw
we'll wait
shrimp.
another minute or two.
Okay.
Yep, over on the right-hand side. That might,
Yep.
it's
we
like
did
that
it.
light, light pink one. Maybe
The
like that
shrimp we
other one we
just
saw that
finished.
was real, that had the real feathery
The one that we
pincers
just run.
legs. It wasn't?
That was not the one that we saw earlier.
It
that
was
had
not the
the
same kind? Okay,
sensors.
thanks, Roland.
This is more of the swimming type that we see.
Okay,
You want to
except
quick
okay.
zoom to see
pink.
if there's anything? It's another one of those guys.
We've seen that guy.
Yeah.
Andy, did you happen to see the acorn worm before?
No.
So those things that are making those spiral sediment patterns is very colorful, very interesting, very large worm. Let's get the,
One of these
It's
guys.
like a mound there.
not that guy.
Okay. Well, I think we need to start getting set up.
Okay.
So, well, before we switch off, I'm going to have you try to wash off some of the mud.
Okay. Yeah.
No, there's only half a turn. So, push out ahead a little bit. Get up off bottom and push out ahead in front
So
of
the
Sirius.
pilot, our ROV crew actually is getting ready now to come off the bottom. So one of the things they're doing is Andy. They're making Andy wash the mud off. Andy's
Well, Andy
Andy's
did
in the
a great job.
Andy's
Did a
in
great
the
job,
pilot
but it's a
seat.
muddy dive.
Yes, and and
So he's just going to clean it off.
Andy and Dan kind of traded places. So Dan's sitting in the co-pilot seat, and Andy's in the pilot seat for now, in case Andy's mom is listening. And
Don't like this, Mom. Okay. You
so
wanna
they're
keep
going
shaking
through the
it
little
around right
motions
here?
that they
Yeah,
go
shake
through
off a
before
little
they
bit
get
more.
ready. They
Don't
kind of
come up
like
too much.
shake
Yeah, I'm
off
gonna stay right
the.
here.
the Deep Discoverer. You can see that from
Wow.
screen 2.
Yeah, you see all that?
Yeah. Let me get out of it a little bit.
Call this wagging the tail of the dog.
Wagging the tail of the dog.
So science, from the video standpoint, if
You're
you
coming up.
guys could
Back down.
talk about your science discussion and initiate that a little early. We've got some satellite engineering
Yeah, so you're just
work
like
to do
falling off in
immediately
chunks.
following.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens
Okay,
quick. That's
well,
why you had to adjust
actually
your
this
Z bias.
dive, we had
'Cause you're
planned
gonna
this dive
collect that
because
stuff and get heavier.
of the multi-beam bathymetry suggested that we were above
Okay, that's probably
two
fine, and,
mounds or peaks that we
why
thought
don't-
might be
why don't
mud
you
volcanoes.
come
In fact,
port?
it turned out that they were not.
Yeah.
Okay. no face.
But we did
Switch.
heavily sedimented areas, and what we discovered was lots
You just
of
hold it there,
really
it's
interesting organisms, both those that were adapted for life in or on sediments, as well as those adapted for life in the deep sea, with different adaptations for feeding, for locomotion, and so on. So really, we saw the lizardfish. I don't think we had seen any lizard. We haven't seen any
Alright, so
lizardfish
I've
on
got
this
0.7 turns.
leg of our mission.
So
And
You got
we
negative.
had Jeff Drazen and Bruce Mundy tell us more about
ROV
the
negative.
tell us about the
Well, I need to bring
lizardfish.
Sirius
We had
around.
some very
Sirius comes left.
I need to
spirited
come port all
discussions
the way back
about
around.
the
Then I think he's all right.
anemones on
Well,
the
Sirius,
crabs,
by me, I meant
and
Sirius
how
needs to
they
come.
help
Yeah,
each
yeah,
other out in that
Sirius needs to
mutualism
come
or
0.7, so
commensalism.
you're going to turn port.
Okay.
We had a
And
shrimp that
I
seemed to
think-
stump the experts. Its pincers were
Should take
modified
the
for
half turn out.
suspension
Yeah, it'll take the
feeding,
half
not
turn
for
out of mine. So why don't you
capturing.
go
They
ahead
had
and,
very hairy legs
come
and
up a bit.
a rostrum. Saw
Turn
my
auto heading off.
favorite
Yep.
animals, sponges, and in particular some carnivorous sponges, which are becoming my new favorites. And can't wait to see that sample that we collected when we get it up on board the ship. What else?
That's fine.
What else?
Okay.
Oh, the long-legged isopod. Had a big discussion
follow you
about
around?
the long-legged isopod
no,
as
you're-
well. So lots of
do you wanna
really,
be- I'm
really
underneath me.
interesting
You're going to turn to port because
biology
I'm pretty much already
today.
lined up.
And
So I'm
I
going to
think
come
I'm going
back
to
a
let
bit.
Patty pick
You're
out all
gonna
of the dives
turn
from
to
now
port,
on because
Yep.
we're getting really
I know if you want me to
interesting
keep you in
biology.
view
Yeah, I
for
would
as
like
long
to
as
say,
possible, or
though,
just go ahead and go.
I think what Shirley was
you can just
alluding
go ahead
to when
and
she
go.
first
Okay.
began speaking was that
Because I won't really
today's
have to maneuver.
dive certainly
Yeah, you guys gotta
showed
start coming
that
up.
this feature
Right
is
Look at
not
that. Ooh.
a mud
Whoa.
volcano, but yesterday's dive, despite the fact that most of the seafloor was covered with sediment, and there were
going.
just a few
Keep going,
scatterings
still
of rocks,
Something.
that one,
Can you,
I think,
can you record
is
that, Roland?
a mud volcano
It is
that has
being
not
recorded.
Yeah,
erupted
can you clip that out, Tara?
very recently at all. But both
Flip
of the
out
rocks that we picked
Sirius
up
view.
from
tilt
vastly
down?
different areas
Yeah,
on the
look at
surface
the,
of that
Did
mound
you see, I don't know if you saw
were
that as well.
serpentinized
On
peridotite.
the pilot
And the
camera.
only way that could get up
RPTZ, I mean.
that far inboard of the trench is through mud volcanism.
Yeah, very
so
cool.
that
Very
was
cool.
an ancient
Absolutely.
or
You see that on
just
my PTZ?
not recently active one.
So we have a
Oh,
couple
boy.
of really
I
cool
didn't say
dives
anything
lined
like-
up for the
Oh,
next
boy,
couple
don't
of
we?
days. So
Yeah.
for those of you
Yeah.
on shore, we'd like to thank you for participating, and we look forward to
We
you
can
joining
zoom
us
in on
again
our
tomorrow.
series.
Yeah, why don't you do
And
that?
for the shore-based
Center up the
science team,
vehicle.
if you can just
put
stick
this
around
back
for
on.
another couple minutes, we are going to queue up the multi-beam bathymetry for the dives tomorrow and the next day, and we'll talk about that. Again, we have been
Here's the
broadcasting
full
live
up.
from the Okeanos Explorer,
Zoom in.
America's ship for
Exploring?
ocean exploration.
Test coordinator.
I'm Shirley Pomponi, and
I'm Patty Fryer.
we thank you very much for
Just
diving with us
waiting for them
today.
to-
See you tomorrow.